My name is Lily and I'm here on behalf of the National Apprenticeship Service to talk to you about apprenticeships. It's really important to remember to keep your options open about your future. So for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to explain the range of apprenticeship job roles available, the different levels, how you find an apprenticeship, and what you need to do to start searching and applying. The reason we are covering this topic is because at some point in your future, you may want to consider applying for an apprenticeship, and so it will become important for you to understand what an apprenticeship is and the range of subjects and levels that they cover. As a country, we're currently going through some uncertain times because of the coronavirus pandemic, but we are still here to support you and want to use this time to help you prepare for your future. The government has recently announced its plans to support young people and their carers post-COVID-19, which includes additional funding for employers to help increase the availability of apprenticeship vacancies across the country. So lots of work is going to make sure there are lots of opportunities available to you. Through this presentation, we're going to be dispelling some common myths about apprenticeships, as well as giving you enough information to truly understand apprenticeships, so that you can consider them as an option after leaving school, college or sixth form. Lots of people get confused about apprenticeships. That's probably because they've been around for hundreds of years, but they've changed a lot in that time. You will earn a wage, and it can be really good salary too. We'll talk more about money later on though. You will work for at least 30 hours per week, and this will include paid time to complete your studies. The employer will invest their time and money into helping you gain qualifications and valuable new skills and experience. You will be given real responsibilities and expected to work hard just like anyone else in the company. You will also be supported by a training provider who will help you achieve your qualifications and make sure you complete your apprenticeship. They will work with your employer to help you prepare for your endpoint assessment, which is the final assessment for an apprentice to ensure that they can do the job they have been training for. Because it's a proper job, you will also have a contract of employment, including holiday pay, which is exactly the same as any other member of staff. It's important to understand that an apprenticeship is a real job with a real employer, so you will spend time working alongside other people and learn from their experience. There's also a myth that apprenticeships are just like work experience, where you're given basic tasks or asked to make tea, but this isn't the case. An apprenticeship typically takes 1 to 4 years to complete, sometimes up to 6 years for some areas like a solicitor. The total duration will depend on the delivery model that your employer selects, the level and the subject you're studying. As a minimum, all apprenticeships must last for a minimum of 12 months. It's really important to remember that apprenticeships aren't the easy option. Holding down a full-time job and studying takes a certain skill, and it won't be right for everybody. The first thing to remember is that as an apprentice, you get paid a salary. Many people think that apprentices are paid a low wage, and this can be true depending on the employer, but legally an employer must pay an apprentice the national minimum wage for apprentices, which is currently £4.50 an hour. This is lower than the normal national minimum wage, but it recognises that some people will be going into their first job with no experience at all. The good news is that lots of employers will pay a lot more than the national minimum wage for apprentices. Some apprenticeship schemes in big organisations have a starting salary of 15k, and some London-based employers will even pay more than this. It's important to remember that if you see an apprenticeship you're interested in, don't be put off by the pay if it's low. There's room for progression and working your way to the top of an organisation. Another common myth is that once you've completed your apprenticeship, your employer will let you go. This isn't true. The majority of apprentices, around 90%, stay in employment. If they do change companies, it's usually because they're able to compete for a better job, perhaps with better pay, more responsibility, perhaps it's closer to home, better hours, that kind of scenario. Lots of young people as well are worried that as an apprentice you won't get to have fun or meet other young people. That also isn't true. Depending on the size of the company, you may find yourself working with lots of other young people. You can join the Young Apprentice Ambassador Programme and you will meet hundreds of other apprentices. Another myth is that apprenticeships are only for people that don't go on to full-time uni. That's also not true. There are different levels of apprenticeships suited to everybody, and you can go all the way up to a degree level. So you're still at university, but part-time. I'll tell you more about that a bit later on. Some people think as well that apprenticeships are the easy route, but this is not the case. Apprentices are balancing a full-time job and studying, which can be up to a degree level at the same time. They are learning and adapting in a new working environment and contributing to real-life work projects and tasks, which comes with responsibilities, whilst ultimately working towards the endpoint assessment and achieving their apprenticeship. One of the best things about apprenticeships is that they are everywhere. So if you want to carry on living at home, then you can, but you can sometimes move around the country with an apprenticeship. So it's really important to do your research, but some companies will help you relocate to work for them. When we talk about apprenticeships, people often start to think of plumbing, electrical, construction, and those kind of areas. But there are many brilliant apprenticeships in these areas, but there are also hundreds of new apprenticeships in exciting areas that you might not even know exist. The range of apprenticeship job roles out there is amazing. This slide gives you an idea of a huge range of apprenticeships available, and this is just a taster. You could start an apprenticeship in hundreds of occupational areas. Some will really amaze you. Equally, the range of employers offering apprenticeships is incredible. This slide shows you some really familiar logos of big companies in England who all recruit apprentices. Some of these employers may not be recruiting currently, but you will be able to track their recruitment updates on their website or social media. Around 50% of apprenticeships started are with larger companies like this, but 50% will be with smaller local companies. It's really tempting to think the best apprenticeships are just with the big well-known companies, but many of the smaller employers have absolutely brilliant schemes that enable fast-track career progression for their apprentices. So it's really important to do your research and not ignore smaller companies because they can be just as good. You may also need to think about the different roles that a company might have. For example, if you want to work in finance, you shouldn't just look at the big finance and accountancy companies. Lots of other companies will have their own in-house finance departments, where you will still have access to a huge range of experiences and opportunities. It can be a good idea to take some time to look at the different departments that a company has and see if they offer an apprenticeship in that area. For example, you could work as a solicitor for Coca-Cola, a website designer for Vauxhall, a cybersecurity apprentice for the government. There are thousands of different opportunities. We now have 4 apprenticeship levels: intermediate, advanced, higher and degree. If you want to, you can now start an apprenticeship with the potential to work all the way up to achieving a degree. Higher apprenticeships cover all levels from 4 through to 7. Level 4, 5, 6 and 7 are the equivalent to a foundation degree and above. A degree apprenticeship contains a level 6 or 7 bachelor's or master's degree. The level of apprenticeship you start at will depend on the kind of job that you are applying for. It's really important not to be held back by only looking for a particular level. For example, if you're looking for a degree level, you might sometimes need to have to start from a level 3 or a level 4 and work your way up. Doing a job is completely different to getting a GCSE or an A level, and that's why it can be a bit confusing. So keep an open mind that you can explore all of the opportunities available. There are many different ways an apprenticeship can be delivered. It will really differ depending on the organisation and also the training provider delivering the apprenticeship. For some apprenticeships, off-the-job learning is delivered at work. This means a tutor will come to you to teach you independently at work. Another method of delivery is attending college or a local training provider. You might attend once a fortnight or once a week with other apprentices who work for other companies in the local area. These options both vary at the moment due to social distancing guidelines. Many apprentices also find that they will carry out some learning through online learning, which has increased over the pandemic. Higher and degree apprenticeships are a real alternative to following the traditional route of going to university as a full-time student. They offer all the benefits of a higher education with none of the cost. You will not only be learning, but earning a salary from day one. With a degree apprenticeship, you're much less likely to build up any debt. Your tuition fees are paid for by your employer and the government, so you will not be expected to pay £9,000 a year. More than 100 universities in England offer degree apprenticeships now. The students on degree apprenticeships are entitled to exactly the same thing as other students, so you will still have access to the student union, sports facilities, clubs, societies and student discounts, as and when this is appropriate. In the past, going to university was seen as the best way to advance your career to a high level, but with the current level of competition for jobs amongst graduates, it might not be the best route for you. With an apprenticeship, you gain the competitive advantage of gaining at least 3 years work experience whilst completing your degree. But remember, it's hard work as a degree apprentice. You'll be working full-time and fitting in the equivalent of a full-time degree alongside it. It might take a bit longer than studying full-time, for example, 4 years instead of 3, but you'll achieve exactly the same degree. No matter what kind of career you want to follow, you need to do your research and find out if there's a way to get the role you want through an apprenticeship. That way you can decide if you'd prefer to study full-time at college or university, or if you would prefer to go into work as an apprentice and gain qualifications and experience on the job from day one. Remember, you can apply for an apprenticeship alongside applying for university, and then you can decide what's right for you later on. Remember, it is important not to restrict your searches for vacancies to just look at large companies, as many small employers offer some excellent vacancies with great packages and career progression opportunities. It is also important to do some wider research and look in lots of places for apprenticeships. Vacancy numbers on finding apprenticeship have decreased over the period of the pandemic, and so it will be important to look at employer websites and on other job sites also to find the best opportunities for you. It's really important to register with Find an Apprenticeship, so if you search the internet for Find an Apprenticeship, it will come up as the first link. Once you register, you'll receive an account activation code by email. After activating your account, you're ready to start applying for apprenticeship vacancies. Have a look at the different jobs that are being advertised. Remember, this is a live job site, so it may be to you that you need to try and find a few different searches or to broaden how far you're looking to find jobs that you are interested in. As I noted earlier, it is important to remember that this is expected that the number of vacancies on Find an Apprenticeship will have reduced over this period of the pandemic, whilst employers are reviewing how they can best support their existing staff and when or how it would be best and safe to begin recruiting again. However, as I said, this is expected, and so please do not be disheartened if you take a look and cannot find anything immediately or in the coming weeks. Typically, there will be lots of options for you to choose from, and many employers are up and recruiting again and will be in the future. Be sure to do lots of research and look on employer websites and other job sites too. Start applying for jobs that interest you, and you need to remember that typically some of the bigger companies will advertise quite early in the year, so around autumn time, and you'll be starting the following September. So please don't leave it until the last moment, or you might be disappointed and have missed a great opportunity. Recruitment timeframes may have changed this year, and so it will be important to stay on top of these. Set up your alerts. A great feature for this system is that you can get it to do all the hard work for you. You can manage your alert settings so that you receive text messages and emails when jobs come up that you might be interested in. Employers are always telling us that the applicants that really stand out to them are those that have made an extra bit of effort. You could consider contacting the company and ask them if they have any virtual open days coming up or other opportunities to engage with them. That will look really impressive on your application and can give you an advantage over other applicants. Whilst Find an Apprenticeship is a great place to start looking for apprenticeships, it is not the only place. If you have a particular employer in mind, visit their website and see if you can sign up for recruitment alerts or if they send out a newsletter. Make sure you follow their careers pages on social media using Facebook, Twitter and Instagram too, as they will probably use this as a way to promote their vacancies. This will be even more important for staying on top of alerts and updates about recruitment, whilst the impact of the coronavirus pandemic is ongoing. Employers will be using these platforms to update potential applicants. We've spoken to a lot of apprentices, and quite often they will say they actually heard about their job through a family member or a friend. So make sure you tell everyone you can think of that you're looking for an apprenticeship, and you never know what might come through. There are lots of other job search sites out there, including Vacancy Snapshot, where you can flick through online interactive profiles for some of the UK's top apprentice employers. Definitely spend some time looking into the different types of employers. There will be a real mix from your local council, who might have a jobs page for young people, through to a bigger recruitment sites too. We know this has been a challenging time for young people looking at their next steps and options for the future. Remember, there is lots of support out there to help you guide you into the right choice for you. You can contact the National Apprenticeship Service helpline, and you can also contact the National Careers Service, who can help you give advice and guidance. If you would like to continue learning about apprenticeships, there are some brilliant resources available on the Amazing Apprenticeships website. If you go to www.amazingapprenticeships.com, the website shown on the screen. If you have any questions around anything I've discussed today, please can you send these to your teacher and they will forward them on to me and I can then answer them for you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.